Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Orange Coast Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Donna McCartney, and I'm delighted to be your worship associate today. So I'm excited about today's topic because the older I get, the more I appreciate the art of finding delight in unexpected places. So I'm eager to learn more. So I'm joined in welcoming you today, this morning, by our own Reverend Sian Wiltshire, and who's getting ready to go on sabbatical. We're going to miss her, but we're thrilled to have her today. And our Director of Music Ministries, Beth Silverson, and Karen Magoon Pearson, who is the Director of our Religious Education for Children and Youth. So we also want to recognize the many volunteers who pull together and work hard to create this service for us every Sunday. And we respectfully recognize that our church property rests on a Hashiman and Tongva land. As Unitarian Universalists, we have many different beliefs, but we are one loving community. We are bound together not by a common set of rules or beliefs, but rather by a covenant. And our covenant is simply a promise that whatever our beliefs, we accept one another and encourage each other in spiritual growth. We affirm that all life has an inherent value and that all existence is interconnected. We are committed to creating a welcoming community full of justice and compassion, and without regard to the traits that sometimes divide people. To our roomers, we invite you to silence your cell phones. And for our Zoomers, we invite you to say hello in the chat. Hello. So let's begin our worship service today with the lighting of our chalice. So this morning I'd like to invite Phil Chapman, who's coming over from the choir here, to light our chalice. So Phil's been attending our service for almost 10 years, and as you can see, he's a member of the choir, and he also helps out as a camera operator too. So let's all go Phil, yeah, woo! Give it up for Phil, right? So let's say our unison affirmation together. Love is the spirit of its church, and service is its law, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth and love, and to help one another. This we affirm together. Thank you, Phil. So let's join in singing our opening song.
Good morning, everyone. Please rise as you're comfortable. We sing this song year-round, but today, let's particularly think of it in terms of Pride Month. Happy Pride Month, everyone. Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whoever you love, we welcome you. Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whoever you love, we welcome you. One more time. Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whoever you love, we welcome you. We welcome you. We welcome you.
Welcome everyone to this wonderful and delight-filled, I hope, service where we're doing something special today. As many of you may know, that it is our annual meeting after the service, which is awesome. And we are also honoring our youth today who are transitioning from being youth to adults. Yes. And we're going to be talking a lot about delight, so I thought this was an absolutely wonderful way to start our service together with words by Mary Oliver. Every day, I see or hear something that more or less kills me with delight, that leaves me like a needle in the haystack of light. It was what I was born for, to look, to listen, to lose myself inside this soft world, to instruct myself over and over in joy and acclamation. Nor am I talking about the exceptional, the fearful, the dreadful, the very extravagant, but of the ordinary, the common, the very drab, the daily presentations. Oh, good scholar, I say to myself, how can you help but grow wise with such teachings as these? The untrimmable light of the world, the ocean's shine, the prayers that are made out of grass.
My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentations. I hear the real, though distant song that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? But though the tempest round me roars, I hear the truth is living. But though the darkness round me close, songs in the night is giving. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since I believe that love above, how can I keep from singing? La 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 when tyrants tremble when they hear the bells of freedom ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? In prison cells, in dungeon dark, our thoughts to them are winging. When friends hold courage in their hearts, how can I keep from singing? La 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 no storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since I believe that love abides. How can I keep from singing? La 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 la
How can we keep from singing? It's a glorious day, and what a delight it is that we get to honor our youth who are being recognized now as adults. So welcome to our annual bridging ceremony. I'm going to invite a bunch of people up here to help me with this. So first I'd like to invite Karen Magoon-Pearson. She's our Director of Religious Education. She's going to join me up here for the bridging ceremony. I'd also like to invite Reverend Judy Tomlinson. She's our former Director of Religious Education, and under Karen's direction, she's been working with the youth on their bridging as their bridging advisor. So there you go. Okay, now, all of the youth and anybody who's been one of their youth advisors, I'd like you to come over here and stand over by the door over here. No, current youth, Joelle. That would be Marquez and Ella. Emma, come on over here. Everybody who's been a youth advisor, come on over there. All right. And lastly, I'd like to invite all of our young adults to come forward and stand to the right next to the piano.
We see you.
So Jeff Liebman writes about the bridging ceremony. The bridging ceremony celebrates the transition of our youth from their high school experience into young adulthood. It is a time of tremendous change and stress for our youth. It's a time when many across the country will leave their particular church community to travel to other cities, into higher education, into careers, possibly even into new families. Though fortunately, in this case, Ella and Marquez will be staying close to home. The bridging ceremony is a rite of passage that welcomes these bright and energetic people into the rewards and responsibilities of adult life. The bridge has two sides. One is childhood and adolescence, where they have become leaders and role models for their younger friends and acquaintances. The other side is scary and vast, a frontier of unknown, full of boundless opportunities and new challenges. We, the adult members of this congregation, also stand on this side. We stand with our arms wide open to welcome them, our minds prepared to mentor them and learn from them, and our hearts prepared to share our life together with them.
Two of our youth are bridging today, Ella Wong and Marquez Martinez. Ella and Marquez, as you begin your adulthood, I invite you to take a moment to thank your advisors, those wonderful people who have seen you through the last few years of your spiritual formation. You can go over, say hi. And when you are done, to come stand here in the middle with Reverend Judy. All the way over here. So the bridging ceremony is transition ritual, a celebration of the blossoming of our youth into full adulthood. This is an opportunity for us to recognize Ella and Marquez as the newest adults in our congregation.
So Ella and Marquez, you have been nurtured and loved by these people here in this room and on Zoom. You can wave to them. Now you're ready to go off on your own into the wider world, and this ritual then also honors the dedication of this community to provide a liberal religious home for our children. We recognize the love of parents and families, the commitments of teachers and advisors, and to support of every one of the members and friends of this congregation with their time, their money, and all kinds of support. So this morning, beloved congregation, I'm going to invite you to offer a blessing to both Ella and Marquez. So I want to invite you to take a moment to think about like a phrase or a word that comes to mind that you might have liked to have had when you were youth, bridging into adulthood as a new adult. maybe it's just simply even to wish them well. And Zoomers, you can write it in the chat and I'll read them out afterwards. So as we do this, everybody got their word or blessing they want to do? Well, Reverend Judy is going to guide you through this symbolic bridge as we go up and over from childhood to adulthood as you receive your blessings in this congregation. So Marquez and Ella, I'd like to invite you now, using that microphone there, to offer your own reflections about your time at OCUC. I know you've all written something.
Oh boy. Well, I honestly don't know where to start. Even though I've written something, it's a completely different thing up here. I guess I should say that just thank you to this church in general. It gave my family and, well, it gave me some lifelong friends, you know? Ella, Joelle, Emma, Catherine. And it gave my family a community to stay in. A loving community, and I couldn't be any more happy. That was the prototype. Anyway, on to the actual speech thing, which, yeah. When I first came to California, I used to be such a chaotic kid, and obviously that hasn't changed, other than the fact that I'm not a kid anymore. But even though I still consider myself pretty chaotic, I like to think that I've grown up. You know, this church, because of how it is, I feel like it's one of the main reasons of why I try to be accepting of everybody, or at least try to understand people in general. You know, I learned that the world isn't a black or white place. I learned that, you know, I have to take in other people's perspective and understand other people's cultures in order to, I guess, truly understand and experience the world for a fool. Or not for a fool, but you know what I mean. I understand that this world's a complex mess of chaos and order, and it's beautiful. You know, things don't go the way that we want to, but at the same time, that's part of what gives life its passion and its color. And even though there's been a lot of not so great times, I feel like I want to be a part of that passion and color. I want to contribute to this world, from the smallest amount of kindness to people to, I guess, the biggest amount of effect that it can have on the greater people. As long as I'm trying to contribute to making the world a better place, it's nice. That's what I feel like this church has done. I'm done.
Hello. Hi, I'm Ella. Speech time. I've been at this church for most of my life. For as long as I can remember, my mom has been taking me and my brother here to OCUC. We actually started at the old building, which is a surprisingly exclusive starting point, since which
with each passing week, there seem to be more and more new people, which is great. One of my earliest memories is of a water ceremony in the old building where my mother brought me up to the front and told the congregation that I would be starting first grade soon. The church was mostly empty then, in preparation for moving to the new site. During this ceremony, it was said that before the walls were painted, the church had written little messages on the walls of little kindnesses and the like. I don't really remember the rest of the ceremony, but it goes to show how I've been here a long time. I've nearly grown up here. Through being here so many years, I've met a lot of people. Several of those people I consider really close friends, and I will likely continue to do so for some time. This church has given me people I really care about and memories I cherish and hope to add to. Thank you.
I gotta say, it really warms my heart to have these two up here. You guys are amazing, so thank you. So when parents bring their children before our congregation to be dedicated, we give the babies a rose, symbolizing the beauty and newness of their lives. And we remove from the rose all the thorns that might cause pain, as we know it's the parents' job to protect their children from pain. But today, you stand before the congregation without your parents. They're out there, but not up here, right? And we give you too a rose, but this time, we have not removed the thorns. So as young adults, we hope you will grasp life with all its joys and beauty and difficulties and sadness. And so we also give you something with which to handle the thorns. So we've got some gardening gloves if you can't see.
Can I just say, these are really nice gardening gloves.
Only the best for you, Mark.
Yes, of course.
These are really, really nice.
Because, like these gloves, we hope we've given you tools too. Values by which to live your life as one of dignity and worth, the knowledge of how to think instead of what to think, a heritage of justice seeking as your conscience demands, and a beloved community in which we lift you up and help you figure out which direction to turn should you ever need it.
And Reverend Judy has one more gift to offer.
We'll have a chalice and a meditation book for each of them.
So as life settles you in far corners of this wild world, we hope that your connections here prompt you to look for a Unitarian Universalist community, but thankfully you're staying nearby, so that's good. And someday, hopefully, you'll share your wisdom with the youth and children of the community. So I want to invite the congregation to join me in this final blessing for Ella and Marquez. Together, we bless your mind with wonder and wisdom. We bless your heart that it may give love to all you meet. We bless your hands to do good work in the world. We bless your spirit to be courageous and compassionate. May you carry our love with you wherever you go. Welcome to adulthood. All right, Karen is now going to light our children's chalice, and we'll sing all of those who are part of this religious education program out to their classes.
We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go, as you go.
So, as you know, our theme today is all about delights. And Ross Gay is a professor of English at Indiana University, and one of the books he's written is called The Book of Delights, as you see on the screen. Here's an excerpt from one of his essays. I settled into the coffee shop, took my notebook out, and was reading over these delights, transcripting them into my computer. And while I was working, headphones on, swaying to the new De La Soul record, a delight which deserves an entry of its own, I noticed a white girl. She looked 15, but she couldn't have been, I suppose, because she was a college student. She was standing next to me with her hand raised. I looked up, confused, pulled up my headphones, and back to listen, and she said, like a coach or something, "Working on your paper? Good job to you, high five." And you better believe that I high-fived that child in her pre-ripped Def Leppard shirt and her itty-bitty Doc Martens. For I delight in unequivocally pleasant public physical interactions with strangers. What constitutes pleasant is informed by my largish male and cisgender body, a body that's also largest male, cisgender, and not white. We should all understand this by now. A few months ago, walking down the street in Italy, a trash truck pulled up beside me, and the guy in the passenger seat yelled something, and I didn't understand what he said. So I said, "Como?" which is a Spanish word for come again, which is a ridiculous thing to say, because even if he had come again, I wouldn't have understood what he was trying to say to me. He knew this, and he hopped out of his truck to dump a couple of cans, and then he flexed his muscles, pointed at me, and smacked my biceps hard twice. I loved him. Or when the waitress pointed at me and smacked, no, she didn't do that, he did. Okay, when the waitress puts her hand on my shoulder, I love that too. And forget if she calls me honey, wow, baby's even better. Or someone scooting by puts her hand on my back, the handshake, the hug. I love them both, I love them all. Once I was getting on a plane and shuffling down the aisle, and I saw, sitting at the front of coach, reading a magazine, my great Uncle Earl. I got down on my knees and put my hand on his forearm, and I said, "Uncle Earl, it's me, it's Ross." He looked at me quizzically, and as did the woman traveling next to him, who did not look a bit like my Aunt Sylvia, which made me look back at my not Uncle Earl, who looked at me rather strangely. He looked like my Uncle Earl's second cousin from like 20 years ago. So, although it was benign and no one was hurt, it was a little weird, and they looked confused. All the same, given his Uncle Earl died about 6 months later, my Uncle Earl, the one who wasn't there that day, I'm delighted I got to see him and touch him gently, lovingly, about 1,000 miles away.
So I find it interesting that Ross Gay loved the innocuous touch of strangers, these moments of physical connection between human beings. I find it interesting because I actually don't. Well, I mean, kind of. Like, I like physical touch, right? You know, I'm a hugger. I love hugging, but not from strangers. And while I wouldn't mind a high five, I'm often startled or even a little suspicious of any stranger that touches me, particularly, honestly, if it's a male. But as he said, you know, what delights us is not universal. And I find that delightful. So I want to invite you this morning to think about what delights you, right? Children, nature, youth, becoming adults maybe. Or even better, what was the most recent thing that delighted you? So I want to invite you to take a moment to think about that. What delights you? And then if you'd like to share it with someone you know or someone even you don't know next to you, go ahead and do that. And if our Zoomers would like to write it in chat, I'll read those out later. Go ahead and speak to one another.
I'm delighted
What?
that you're our minister.
I'm delighted you're here. That color purple is perfect for you. There's so much delight in this room. It's wonderful. All right, let's see here. Oh, let's see. We've got Tracy D says, the clouds delight her. They're always changing. And Melody, she says, I love pulling weeds, being one with the dirt. You can come be delighted at my house anytime. And Valerie, she says, I walk in the woods surrounded by the heady scent of honeysuckle while being chastised by a group of tiny woodpeckers urging me to move on. Peggy says the changing lighting and natural settings, sunrise and set, noon and lengthening shadows. Oh, that's beautiful. All right, let us sing about the magnificence of this world.
All right, so if you want the easy part, sing the hallelujah with me. If you want to join the choir in a little bit, you may do so. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah,
So what do we mean by delight? Anyways, now if you look up, obviously definitions will say things a great joy or a pleasure, but I think that there's this sense of surprise and the unexpected in delight. It's something that you didn't expect to actually have happen, an unexpected pleasure, a surprising joy. And as Donna mentioned, Ross Gay wrote this book of essays called The Book of Delight when he decided to go from one birthday to the next birthday, that he would write every day an essay about what delighted him. And after a year of doing this, he discovered, quote, that one of the things that surprised me was how quickly the study of delight made delight more evident. That's the thing about delight. Gotta be open to it, right? To notice the delights around you. I think being open to delight, what a wonderful spiritual practice. A fun thing to do. And I began to think about how do I do that? How do I cultivate that sense of delight? To notice those surprising things that happen. And I realized that I tend to be much more open to those delights and to things happening when I'm traveling, right? I have very few expectations when I travel, particularly abroad, right? It's all new to me. My mind is open. I'm curious. I remember the time that I went to Scotland with Judy here a few years ago, and I remember the places that we stayed at were like, it was like a new adventure each time, that we went to the new Airbnb. They were just delightful, right? I remember finding wild thistles, which, is like the symbol of Scotland, and they were wild thistles with their little purple blooms everywhere, and that was delightful, and, the little lambs frolicking, and the sheep looking at us like, okay, not sure about you. I remember one time we were out on the island of Iona, and we were at a church service on a Sunday, and it was a Christian church and everything like that, but they sang Wo Ya Ya, which is in our hymnal, and we were like the only ones who really knew the words. It was great. It was so delightful. And even haggis was delightful, okay? It really was, but the whiskey was particularly delightful. So what if we could cultivate looking at the world like a tourist, right? Just open to the delights that are there, to something new and different. Do you remember what that's like to be a tourist? Not being tired and confused or hot, or anything like that, but the delights of different food that you get to try, or the art you've never seen, or you finally get to see it in person, and you're like, that Mona Lisa is so tiny, right? Or maybe a vista that opens up in front of you, or animals you don't see outside of a zoo. Now, it's easy to find delight in some ways, right? Animals and children and nature and when you're traveling. But what about the everyday mundane things like washing the dishes? Oh, that's scrubbed away really easily. How lovely, right? Can you find delight there? And doing the main mundane tasks of, say, homework or work or changing a diaper, or even maybe an annual meeting. You know, one way I constantly am delighted is when I learn something new about someone, when someone surprises me, if I had no inkling about them. So how do we cultivate delight with openness and curiosity? And you know, I'm not sure it's really that hard, right, to be open to delight. Like a gratitude journal, you could write down what delighted me today. But what do you do when life is hard, right? When the weight of the world seems to weigh in on you, when you just can't stand to read another news article about hate or war or suffering of any kind, how do you find delight? Well, Richard Gilbert, who's a Unitarian Universalist minister and poet, he has something to say about that.
So poet Richard Gilbert, wrote this poem in response to a quote from the writer E.B. White. So here's what E.B. White said. It's hard to know when to respond to the seductiveness of the world and when to respond to its challenge. If the world is merely seductive, that would be easy. If it was merely challenging, that would be no problem. But I arise in the morning torn between the desire to improve the world and a desire to enjoy the world. This makes it hard to plan the day. So this is what poet Gilbert wrote in response. This is his poem. I rise in the morning torn between desire to save the world or to savor it, or to serve life or to enjoy it, to savor the sweet taste of my own joy or to share the bitter cup of my neighbor, to celebrate life with exuberant step or to struggle for the life of the heavy laden. What am I to do when the guilt at my bounty clouds the sky of my vision? When the glow which lights my every day illuminates the hurting world around me? To savor the world or to save it? God of justice, if such there be, take from me the burden of my question. Let me praise my plenitude without limit. Let me cast from my eyes all troubled folk. No, you will not let me be. You will not stop my ears to the cries of the hurt and the hungry. You will not close my eyes to the sight of the afflicted. What is that did you say? To save, one must serve. To savor, one must save. The one who will not stand without the other, forgive me. In my preoccupation with myself, in my concern for my own life, I've forgotten. Forgive me, God of justice. Forgive me and make me whole.
So it is hard to face the challenges of today's world. Sometimes we just want to block it all out. But this morning for this reading, I'd like to consider Gilbert's words where he says, how do we save the world? By savoring it or enjoying it? How is savoring the world saving it? And what did he mean to save the world, we must serve it? To save the world, we must savor it. I invite you into just a moment of contemplation. You don't need to turn to a neighbor unless you'd like to whisper it very quietly. If you want to soften your eyes and take some deep breaths and ask yourself, to save the world, we must serve it. To save the world, we must savor it. To save, one must serve. To savor, one must save. Let us sing.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah,
Now, I don't know about you, but being as a person of quite a bit of privilege, I sometimes feel guilty in finding delight in the world when there's so much pain. Sometimes feels frivolous or self-indulgent. But then I learned from some amazing activists that delight in the world is an act of resistance. More and more of these activists are recognizing that focusing on delight and joy is what sustains us, that it is our right to feel these things. It is countercultural, and it saves us. To savor the world saves all of us. The wonderful Adrienne Marie Brown, that amazing activist, says, put your attention on suffering. So let me rephrase that. She said, put your attention on suffering, which is constant and everywhere, and it is all you will see. Joy will come and laughter, but you will find it brief, possibly a distraction. Put your attention on joy, being connected and feeling whole, and you will find it everywhere. Your heart will still break, you will know grief, but you will find it a reasonable cost for the random abundance of miracles and the soft, wild rhythms of love. So this summer, as I'm going off on my sabbatical, I want to invite you to focus on delight, to focus on joy, to see it as an act of resistance in this world against the pull of negativity and hate. I invite you to savor the world so as to save it. May it be so, and amen. Let us sing.
And please rise in body or spirit. And I'm going to get you started with some clapping. Slow clapping. Here we go. 1, 2. 1, 2. Keep your heart wide open. Though the waves want to push you around, you got to keep your heart wide open till your faith brings you back to solid ground. One more time. You gotta keep your heart wide open. Though the waves wanna push you around. You gotta keep your heart wide open. Till your faith brings you back to solid ground.
Unitarian Universalist congregations are fully self-supporting, meaning that members and friends raise all the funds for the operating budget, ministries, and programs of our church. We are ever grateful for your gifts of time, treasure, and talent. OCUC amplifies that spirit of generosity by sharing one half of the plate we receive with an organization that shares our values. This month we are sharing with an organization near and dear to our hearts, Camp de Benneville Pines. We will use the funds to support OCUC children and youth attending their youth camps this summer. There are multiple ways you can support the church and this organization. You can mail a check. You can go to an app called Vanco Mobile. If you're a roomer and it's coming around to you right now, you can simply use the basket as it is passed. The choice is yours. All the information is on our website should you need it. And as always, thank you for your generosity. We're going to sing this song for good from Wicked, from the play Wicked. Youth, we hope we have changed you. Youth, we hope we have changed you for the better, and we hope you've changed you for good.
I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason, bringing something we must learn.
And we are led to those who help us most to grow if we let them, and we help them in return.
Well, I don't know if I believe that's true, but I know I'm who I am today because I knew you. Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the sun, like a stream that meets a boulder halfway through the wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? But because I knew you, I have been changed for good. It well may be that we will never meet again in this lifetime. So let me say before we part, so much of me is made of what I learned from you. You'll be with me. You'll be with me like a handprint on my heart. And now whatever way our stories end, I know you have rewritten mine by being my friend. Like a ship blown from its mooring by a wind off the sea, like a seed dropped by the skybird in a distant wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? But because I knew you, because I knew you, I have been changed for good. Just to clear the air, I ask forgiveness for the things I've done you blame me for.
But then I guess we know there's blame to share.
And none of this seems to matter anymore. Like a comet blown from orbit as it passes the sun, like a stream that meets a boulder halfway through the wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? I do believe I have been changed for the better. Because I knew you.
Because I knew you.
Because I knew you. I have been changed for
I'll get our Kleenexes out. We are going to sing our offertory response. This song puts our intentions into words and expresses our gratitude for the many gifts we share.
Together we gather as one, for peace, love, and justice for everyone. We give from our hearts to show that we care. We can change lives with what we share.
So now is that time when we honor the important events and people in our lives. It's a weekly ritual, and you're invited, one and all, member, friend, visitor, to participate in this thing we call Joys and Sorrows, Rumors and Zoomers. And this is Birdie Reed. She's one of our pastoral care team members, and she'll be assisting in lighting the candles. And that's the idea, is that if you have something you want to honor, you'd like to come up and light a candle. If you would like to share it with the congregation, you can ask one of the ushers for one of these slips of paper and write it out if you didn't get one when you first came in. And Zoomers, of course, you can write your joy or sorrow in the chat, and then Bertie will light a candle for you. So thank you. So all right, if you're a roomer, please come forward and light your candle and hand me your joy or sorrow if you'd like to share it, and I'll read those out loud. All right, on Zoom, let's see here. We've got, let's see, Valerie would like a candle lit for her. She says her 21-year-old Daniel, her son, got to go to Pittsburgh Pride last weekend, and it was very life-affirming. Right on. So Sarah J., who are administrators, she would like a candle of concern and faith and hope for our wonderful Elizabeth K., who's having surgery tomorrow and is nervous about it. Please keep her in your thoughts for calmness and a successful procedure. Melody D. would like a candle lit for her 94-year-old mom. She says, who has to have her kitchen in her apartment remodeled. So all the seniors are having to pack up their kitchens for a week or two, which is very traumatic for them. She says her mom has family and friends, but that isn't true for many. They all need support. Yeah. And Sarah J. also would like a candle of joy, because she says, what a delight to see my dear friend Sherry L. here with us today. And someone with the initials MS would like a candle lit, she says, for her sister-in-law who's battling pancreatic cancer. Oh, it says her name is Michelle. Hey, Michelle, I'm sorry. Okay, and then here in the room, we have a bunch of things. We have two, actually, from the choir. They would like to wish Barbara Morihiro a very happy birthday. We love you. And Dave C., he wanted to light a candle of joy. If you remember, last week was the 100th anniversary of the Flower Communion. He says he would light a candle of joy for the 100th anniversary of the Flower Communion celebrated in UU churches around the world. He said, I personally attended one in Lawrence, Kansas. So we're glad to have you back. And Sandy and Don M., they lit a candle of joy for their grandson, Django, because he bridged from elementary to middle school this week. And they say, yikes, how did this happen? I know. Let's see here. And Matthew and Alex P., they have lit a candle of joy for delight. We recently took in a young and very energetic male cat that was hanging out around our apartment last week. He has adopted Matt as his human, and we've named him Loki. Excellent. Great name for a cat, absolutely. And Jolyn, she lit a candle of sorrow because her husband, Joel, is in Chicago for work. And she said, I hate it when we can't join him on small trips, but 2 days in Chicago does not a family vacation make. Yeah. And Sherry L. lit a candle of joy because she is also very happy and grateful to be able to be back with her beloved community after a challenging illness. Yes. And Tatiana H., our local wonderful wrangler of Ukrainian refugees, she has a candle of joy. For those of you who aren't aware, we're housing Ukrainian refugees next door, and Tatiana is our wonderful liaison there. And she says 4 families at our Ukrainian shelter found rentals and hosts and moved on, and 4 new ones moved in this week. She says, I'm overjoyed things are working out so well. So are we. Yeah. It's been over a year. This is amazing. Yeah. Wow. Oh, I feel for them. Oh, my goodness. All right. And Eric N., he lit a candle of sorrow because his brother Philip and his wife's dog that passed away this week. Yeah, his dog. Yeah, no, not Philip. Yeah. Philip and his wife's dog passed away this week, which is sad. And then Maureen M., she also lit a candle of sorrow. She said, the wife of my best buddy in the chorale that she's in, who's another tenor, died on Thursday. She'd been struggling with health issues for years. I'm sorry. And that's like the second buddy you've had pass away there, too. No, wife. Oh, that's like, oh, the wife of your buddy. Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, we have one more thing to celebrate this morning, or both a joy and a sorrow. We don't often have the opportunity to say goodbye to people when they leave the church, but when we do, especially when it's someone who's been here for a long time, we want to make sure that person leaves knowing how much they have made a difference in this community and how much we love them. So today, that person leaving us, as many of you know, is the wonderful Sarah Hunter. She's moving back to Atlanta to be with her family. So Sarah, I'd like to invite you. Can you come up here? And I'd like also to invite Sandy and Deborah to join her so she's not up there alone. And they're the ones who have been some of her closest friends up here. So let me just give you a little background on Sarah. So she's been a big part of this church, jumping in when she became a member in 2015. She was membership chair. She's been secretary of the board, the VP of programs of the board. She's served on the auction committee, the pledge drive committee, the environmental film festival. She's been in the choir, and she currently creates many of our beautiful slideshows on Sunday morning, which she has pledged to continue doing when she's in Atlanta. She's been known for her kind of tell it like it is humor, even when accidentally unmuted on Zoom. Her chic way of dressing and her open and warm hospitality as a hostess. And while all of that is truly impressive, what we love most about Sarah is the friendships that she's made. The relationships here, laughing and having fun, brainstorming about how to make things work better, bringing all of her creativity and joy to what she does. You know, it's really the love that you brought here. Yeah, that you're going to take back with you to Atlanta, right? You're going to be really missed. And I do have a small gift to remind you of your time here and all those who love you. So remember, you won a bracelet.
I know.
For the auction. So I made you the one, so I made these bracelets with a word on them. I offered them at the auction, and she asked for one, so I made that one for her. But I made another one for you as well. And it reminds me because of what your husband Rob said about how there's so much love in the world. I wish people knew that there was so much love in the world. So this says, "You are loved." And when you wear it, remember us and that you are loved here. Because we knew you, we've been changed for good.
Thank you.
And there's also a traditional song that Sarah actually knows because she was in the choir. Let us sing to her this last time. All right, I'd like to invite Bertie Reed up here to invite you into the spirit of prayer.
The prayer selected by Reverend Sean is by John Donahue. It's been adapted. On the day when the weight deadens on your shoulders and you stumble, may the clay dance to balance you. And when your eyes freeze behind the gray window and the ghost of loss gets into you, may a flock of colors, indigo, red, green, and azure blue, come to awaken you, in you, a meadow of delight. May the nourishment of the earth be yours. May the clarity of light be yours. May the fluency of the ocean be yours. May the protection of the ancestors be yours. Blessed be.
Let us join together as we extinguish the flame of our chalice and say together, we extinguish our chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community. Till we are together again. Thank you for joining us this morning. We're a congregation made up of people who all believe differently. And yet, when we gather together, whether we're in the room or we're on Zoom, we make up one loving community. We need not think alike to love alike. If you're a guest, a visitor, or someone who has not yet been known to us, I invite you to become a part of this beloved community. We encourage you to either write in the chat if you're a Zoomer, or if you're a roomer, to stand for a brief moment and tell us your name and where you're from. So we'll bring a microphone over and hold it for you so that our Zoomers can hear your name and where you're from. Are there any guests in the room today who would like to introduce themselves? Now, he's not a guest, but we love him.
I'm Dave Carlson. I've been visiting for 25 years. It is my total delight to be able to introduce this morning one of the extraordinary women I've ever met in the world and one of the best neighbors in the history of the world, Jennifer.
Thank you for welcoming me this morning. It's my pleasure to be here to share the love that you're sharing with each other and to congratulate our two new adults. It's good to see that you honor and encourage youth, because that's something that's near and dear to my heart as well. I don't believe this will be my last time to visit, and again, thank you for your warm welcome.
Thank you very much for joining us today.
I'm back again. I'm Jeffrey, but this is my friend Angie.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, Angie.
Thank you. Oh, no, you know, for me it's hard. Sorry, my name is Angie. My English is not so good, so I'm going to try. I'm working with Jeff 2 years ago, and how do you say? I think I'm going to try. And I thank him. Thank you. Yeah, I thank you because I want to stay here and listen. Everybody here is so amazing for me because I can feel the way. It's a good way. So thank God. Thank you. I'm sorry. I tried.
Don't be sorry. Thank you so much for sharing. Welcome. Great having you here today. Anybody else? We all set? Okay. If you'd like to know more about our church, including programming for our youth and children, please contact us at hello@ocuuc.org, and we will help get you connected. In addition, we invite you to sign up for our weekly email called The Blast, and it's at blast@ocuuc.org. Everything's up there on the screen so you can see it. We want everyone to feel a part of this beloved community, so please reach out, and we'll help you get connected. Oh, hold on. Oh, really? Because I looked for that and I didn't see it. Okay, so is it Michelle?
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Okay. Sorry we missed that. Michelle, we're sorry we missed that. Sorry about that. Thank you for bringing that to attention, Jolynn. So Michelle says, hello, I'm Michelle, and I'm here with my partner, Jocelyn, and this is our first time joining the community. What a wonderful experience, and thank you all.
All right, and after the service, you can come over here and wave at everybody on this little thing over here. So the iPad. Say hello to Michelle and Jocelyn. Right on. Let's see here. Okay, we got a bunch of things going on. Oh, that's right, there's that congregational meeting thing. So 15 minutes after the service, please come back here. We're going to start on time. We are going to have, I believe there's sandwiches and things like that in the kitchen over here. But we also, as a goodbye to Sarah, there's also cake for the 4th week in a row. We love our cake. Absolutely. Cake, exactly, cake. So come on out, get some cake, eat your food first, and then get some, no, I'm just kidding. Whatever you would like to do, enjoy it. Zoomers, just go get a cup of coffee, go get something to eat, come back 15 minutes, and we'll have our annual meeting. There is also a CPR class that's going to be on Saturday, July 1st, here in Daniels Hall from 9 to 12:30. So if you want to think about, so CPR, okay, if you're an usher, if you're a youth advisor, if you're a choir member, if you're a worship associate, okay, everybody is invited, but you have to sign up because we only have 14 spaces. So please sign up for that. Marilyn Giss, you want to raise your hand? This is our congregational nurse. Marilyn, sign up with her. All right, let's see what else we've got here. Oh, yes. So as you heard in our Joys and Sorrows, Elizabeth Kay is going to be going in surgery. And this is really rough surgery. It's rotator cuff surgery, and it's going to take 8 to 12 weeks to recover. And the first week or two are going to be the hardest. And so she would love to have meals, if at all possible, not Grubhub cards, because that's hard to punch into a computer. If you could make real meals, there is a meal train sign up, and I believe that the Zoomers are having the link put in the chat for them, but it's in the blast as well. We've only got a few signups, so please sign up to make her a meal. Super, you can just go to the store and, buy a roasted chicken or something like that. I do know that one of their sons is vegan, so don't worry about that, but don't worry about that, she says. Okay. Oh, that's right, because he's on his own there. Okay. That's right. Makerspace already needs some stuff. There's lists of things throughout the whole summer. Think about that. Okay, and I'm going on sabbatical. So, yay. Thank you. And I want to say also, so we're starting off my sabbatical time next week with a bang. We got Michael Esselin coming, and I know how much you all love him. He's amazing. He's a chaplain. For those of you who don't know, he's a chaplain dealing with cancer patients, and he always just does an amazing, amazing job. So, all right, let's sing our benediction. Delightful service is over. Let our delightful service continue.